Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome. Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone, to our third Chamber Ensemble Showcase from the Midland Community Orchestra. I'm Gina Provenzano, the conductor of the Midland Community Orchestra. We have a fabulous night planned for you tonight. We have wonderful ensembles from our group that have been practicing hard, and then we have a special treat with Warren and Flick, who will be playing at the second half of our concert. I did want to thank from the very beginning the Alden and Veda Dow Foundation for giving us the grant in order to be able to do this for 3 years. We appreciate that very much. I'm not going to talk much. I want to get right to it. Today we have Cindy Mikulin, Susan Mercy, and Sherry Lovell beginning our concert. Are we lucky or what? Are they fabulous? Another round of applause. And what's funny is Susan is our violin concert mistress, but is playing the cello there, so pretty amazing. We're lucky to have all the talent we have. I'm going to take a few seconds here while the basses get set up. So here we have Roland Wallace, Billy Powlis, who is not in our orchestra, but subs for us all the time and is gracious enough to come up from Lansing. He's wonderful, very helpful to us. Helps us with sectionals. We have Jeffrey Root, Linda Volker, Dave Ziley, and Lane Butler, who joined us this year. So here are our double basses.
They didn't warm up, so I didn't get them on our picture.
Here we go. Ready? I'm going to give you two beats. 1, 2.
So while Jeffrey's getting ready, I just would like to say that Jeffrey's accompanist is his mother, Jennifer. I mean, how great is that? He's tuning, so give him one more minute. But this is Jeffrey Root.
have to have our props.
I think we underestimated the stage size with all these double basses. So pardon us for a minute. You guys gonna be okay? So while they're getting set up, I'll do some thank yous. I do want to thank our board for being able to do all the extra work so we can do all of our events. So thank you to our board. Creative 360 and Carol Rumba. This facility is wonderful. If you don't come here, you should. The artwork is always displayed and changed out, and they have all kinds of activities here. So we're grateful to Creative 360 for letting us do this here. Cindy Mikulin did the decorations on your tables, all the flowers, and we appreciate that. And she's holding those things up, what she's doing right now. And she does all the decorations at our concerts, all the refreshments, so she helps us a lot, and we're very grateful. And also today you're going to be eating some wonderful cookies. Nilsa Takamori made the cookies, so enjoy those when it's time after we're done here. Before Warren and Flick play, you can enjoy the cookies then. But we thank you for being here and all the people, anyone who had anything to do with this evening. So the next group is the violin group. They've been working really hard. It will be Cindy Mikulin, Maria DeGros, Allegro Gibson, Sarah Ryden, Esther Watrous, Heather Hum, Doris Maiden, and Emma Johnson. Next, we have Susan Mercy and Martha Cromer. When you're ready, take your time.
We're all right. We can use another lifter. Do we have another lifter guy?
Oh, that's okay.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
While we're getting ready, I just thought I'd mention some things that were coming up. First, if you look on your tables, there's a little piece of paper from Creative 360 with some great events that are happening. So if you want to look through that and maybe mark your calendars, that would be great. They would love to have some people here for those events. We also have some things coming up. Give Local is coming, so I ask you to remember us when you're giving locally. That is on May 7th. We also do Amazon Smile, which is in your program. You can see that, and we appreciate any time you need to purchase something that helps us out. We have a concert on May 19th. May 19th is a big concert for us. It's our end of the season, but the Community Wishes provided us with a grant. They're sponsoring our whole concert for us, actually, and they provided us money to commission a work in honor of Grace A. Dow. And so we had Catherine McMichael from Saginaw wrote a piece this summer for us in honor of Grace, and we're going to be having that performance on May 19th. At that same performance, we'll have the Camerata Singers performing with us, so it's just going to be a great concert. It's going to be fabulous. So I think you're going to love the piece. Grace A. Dow, the composer and I went to the house, and we walked through the house and saw some of the belongings there, and it inspired her to write this piece about a music box, and it's just fabulous. It's going to be a great night. So please mark your calendars. That's May 19th at Bullet Creek Auditorium at 3 o'clock. So Martha Cromer and Susan Mercy. So we have one more group coming up, but as they come up, I just would like to ask that the bass players, the double bass players after this group, if you could take your double basses off really quickly so that we can have room for Warren and Flick. After they perform, please help yourselves to some drinks and cookies. Go on both sides of the table so it'll go faster. We want a quick intermission, you know, as soon as we get through with cookies and Warren and Flick are ready. There are some chairs up front. You are going to want to come forward if you can to hear these guys. So if you'd like to move forward, feel free to do that. You can move your chairs if you'd like in through here if you'd like. But please help yourselves to cookies and refreshments. And next we have a quintet with David Grieg, Doris Maiden, Sarah Ryden, Heather Hum, and Martha Cromer. Take your time. So what fabulous musicians we have in the Midland Community Orchestra. Don't we? One more round of applause. So, my daughters go to U of M, and my one daughter went to the Top of the Park. They have a festival there in the summer for a month where they play free music, and it was raining out, and she said, "You've got to see these guys. I heard them." So I came and I heard them, and I was so excited when I was finished watching them. I was like, I have to have them come to Midland. So we brought them here, and you're going to be just delighted. This is Warren and Flick.
Thank you all so much. We're delighted to be here, and thank you for the wonderful chamber music before. I think we're going to do something a little bit different than what you might have been hearing. We'll start off with a traditional Canadian fiddle tune that we've messed around with a bit. This one's called Grey Owl. All right. Well, thank you so much. We're going to be doing a bunch of different styles for you tonight. Grant and I are admirers of music, and we love to genre hop and genre blend and kind of take all these different influences and put them into our original tunes. And one of the genres we really admire is classical chamber music, so it's really a pleasure for us to get to play after a set of that. But I think we're going to do a tune of yours next, right? Yeah. Why don't you?
So the next one we're going to do is one I wrote called Reel, but it's not a reel, like the dance type, like R-E-E-L. It's actually a jig. And I was listening to a bunch of Celtic music and a bunch of like fusion jazz kind of at the same time. So there's a great fusion violinist named Jean-Luc Ponty who wrote a tune called Jig, but it's in 4/4 time, and normally a jig is in 6/8 time. So I decided to be extra music nerdy and write a reel, which is normally in 4/4 time, and put it in 6/8. So this is the result.
Balance out the cosmic scales, as it were. All right, thank you so much. You might notice one of the main differences in the type of music we're doing is that we're improvising. And what that basically means is that we have no idea what's going to happen next a lot of the time, and a lot of other times our arrangements are very different than the last time we played them, which keeps things endlessly entertaining for us and always keeps us on our toes. We are on our toes, yes, all the time. So, moving on, I think we're going to do a tune of mine next. And this tune I actually wrote, was it 2 summers ago now? Grant and I have the honor to travel around and play music together in a couple different settings. We have our duo, Warren and Flick, but we also have a 4-piece band called Westbound Situation, and that's the 2 of us, a banjo player who actually just moved up to Ann Arbor to be with us, and a cello player who's based out of New York. And we kind of do sort of what this does, but maybe a little bit more jazz and a little bit more chamber music. It's kind of its own thing. But we had actually just finished our first East Coast tour as that group 2 summers ago. Super fun. We were on the road for about a month, and it's really nice to travel and get to see different places, but it gets really tiring. And I had just gotten back, and it was a Wednesday, and I was super happy to not have anywhere to be or anything to do. And so I was in the bass room at U of M, and I just wrote this tune in like 15 minutes. Normally tunes don't come that easy, but this one just kind of popped out, and it was sort of about that feeling of not really having anything to do and just being home for a little bit. So this is called Wednesday Waltz. Thanks. All right, thank you. Isotope? All right, we're going to switch it up entirely here. Grant and I were actually just down in Lima, Ohio for last week. For the past 3 years, we've been invited down there. It was last week, I know. We've been doing a lot. End of school for us, so things are getting a little crazy. But we've been lucky enough to be the artists in residence for the Lima City Public Schools for the past 3 years. We go down there and just teach basically in all of their public schools, go through and do workshops on improvisation, composition, arranging, ensemble playing, all the stuff we do. And if you don't know, there's a really great jazz saxophonist from Lima, Ohio. His name is Joe Henderson. And so we were playing a show down there, and we felt it would be appropriate to work up a Joe Henderson tune. So this is a very fresh arrangement for us. It's called Isotope. Nice and slow. Well, that's a bit of a ride. So we're going to switch things up. Grant's going to grab this funny little instrument over here. Some of you may think upon first glance that it is a guitar, but you would be wrong. It is not a guitar. It is a 5-string octave tenor guitar. And Grant will be very cross with you if you do not know that.
Say it 3 times fast. 5-string octave tenor. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
So the difference is that this is actually tuned exactly like his 5-string fiddle. So in fifths from the bottom up is just, yeah, same as his violin.
It's basically a cello, except it's not.
So yeah, what are we starting with? Dry and Dusty?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so we're going to do a traditional Missouri fiddle tune now that we've messed around with a little bit. This one is called Dry and Dusty. That's the tune. All right. So we're going to do another tune of mine next. This is actually one of the first tunes. Well, we should probably tell you a little bit about ourselves. I think Gina mentioned we're both from University of Michigan. Grant's a sophomore there studying jazz performance. I'm a second-year master's student. I'm studying chamber music and improvisation, and I did my undergrad in classical there. But this tune that we're about to do is actually one of the first tunes I wrote when I started my improv degree 2 years ago, and kind of forgot about it, and we pulled it back out of the depths about a year ago because we recorded an album, and that album is finally going to be coming out. It's been almost a year. But actually, funny story, we were driving up here, we had just gotten back our masters, and now we have the final order as of... Yeah. No, those are coming in a month, hopefully, if I can finish everything. So, oh, speaking of that, I actually wanted to say, if you guys know anyone in Ann Arbor, or want to come down to Ann Arbor yourself, I'm actually doing a solo show at the Arc on April 2nd, and it's going to count as my Masters in Improvisation recital, and it's also an ARC show. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with that venue, but it's a really nice place. They actually just did a bunch of renovations in there, so brand new sound system, brand new lights, brand new interior, and a brand new facade. It's completely different. It's wonderful. So yeah, that's April 2nd at 8 p.m. But let's do this one. This one's called Matters of Consequence. It's in 7. Mostly.
Listen in your album before you start.
Oh, we do not have a name yet. We just got the order. We were listening to them in the car. We got the order, and that's about all we've got.
So if you guys have ideas for the name of the album,
Yeah.
we'd love to hear it.
A lot of what you've just been hearing is on there, including this one. So. All right. Well, we're going to pull out one more crazy instrument here. We almost cut this from the set, but we brought it, so we thought we should at least play one tune on it. This is actually a brand new instrument for our duo and a brand new instrument for Grant. He got it about 6 months ago. It's called a nyckelharpa. It's a traditional Swedish instrument. It's kind of like a cross between a piano and a viola. But yeah, you want to say a little bit about it? You know more about it than me, clearly. So.
Yeah, so this thing is kind of new to me, but we really enjoy Scandinavian fiddling traditions, which are super mainstream. So I decided to go out and purchase a nyckelharpa, which is kind of used in those styles, since we like doing them so much. And if you like this instrument, when you hear it, well, there will be a lot of that at Jacob's recital, because we're going to be playing a lot of Swedish tunes. So yeah, I wrote this next tune kind of thinking about, how mainstream nyckelharpa is. So I wrote a pop tune on nyckelharpa. And just in case you guys haven't heard about what these things are, instead of, like on bass or fiddle, we use our fingers to kind of stop the string. We just directly press the string in like that. We can't do that on here. So we use these keys, which slide little wooden posts over, and they kind of stop the string for us. So they're kind of like removable frets, sort of, like on a guitar. And then there's 16 total strings on here, but I'm only going to play 4 of them because I can only really play 4 of them. Since 12 of them are what we call sympathetic strings, so they're going to ring with the bowed strings and kind of give it like this acoustic reverb, which is really cool. So it's got a really unique sound, and I hope you like it. So this one's called Zephyr. It has a really short bow, too. Let's see how in tune we are.
That's an eternal question.
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. Swedish.
So as you can see, they're fabulous, and we need to get the word out about these two guys, as well as our own people that played today, our own chamber groups. There are business cards back there. If you can share those with people, that'd be great. But please, do you guys have a Facebook page?
Yeah, we actually have, our cards are on the table, and we actually have an email list out there if you want to sign up. We just send out like monthly or less email about when we're playing, where we're playing, and it's going to be about the album too soon. So.
And this is some fabulous talent. So one more piece.
Yeah, I just wanted to say a big thank you to Gina for putting all this on and having us out here. It's really been great to play for you guys. Yeah. All right, well, we're going to do one more to finish up, and then we'll be milling about, so feel free to come say hey afterwards. But this last one we're going to end with is actually written by our cellist from Westbound Situation. It's a tune called Calories, and he likes to tell a great story about how it got its name, because it's kind of like an acoustic funk tune, and one would not normally think that would be called Calories. But he went to school in Ithaca, New York, which, has anyone been to Ithaca or know Ithaca? Yeah? It's a little bit of a hippie town, kind of like Ann Arbor, but maybe even a little more. And he has a cello teacher there that he loves dearly. He describes her as earthy crunchy, a little bit spacey, and he had written this tune, and he had recorded it on one of his like free recording apps on his phone, brought it into her, and showed it to her to see what she thought. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, I love this tune so much. Calories, what a great name too." he's like, what do you mean? It doesn't have a title. She's like, no, right there, it says calories. And she was reading a banner ad at the bottom of this free app. Yeah. And it said, how many calories in a cheeseburger? And somehow she picked out just the word calories and attached that to the song. So it's still called Calories. So this is your acoustic funk tune by Zach Brown, the cellist from New York, called Calories.
Warren and Flick. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you. Have a good evening.